Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 21st day of February 2018 at the hour of 5:30 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the District on February 13th, 2018 at 2:30 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Open Meetings Act not less than 72 hours prior to the time of the said meeting. We do have the presence of a quorum. All the board members are present at this time. If I may please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carlos?
Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, please bless us this day and let us have a good board meeting, and we continue to ponder the need for providing clean water and drinking water and cities. Thanks in the name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3, invitation to the audience for public comments. Is there anyone at this time that would like to discuss anything openly in the meeting, staff, board? Nothing at this time? Thank you. Moving to item number 4, consider approve the minutes of the regular meeting on January 24th, 2018. Has everyone had a chance to read those? And if so, are there any changes or?
One comment.
Yes?
Item number 13, page 406. Item number 13, where it says we approved on Johnson by the trucks from them, it said, and additional equipment to be purchased separately with provision to have it in the budget. I was pretty vocal that the running boards would be determined at a later date.
Yes. Has that purchase already been made already, or is that?
We approved the purchase of the vehicles, right, and the extra equipment that were going to be necessary, included running boards, and I wasn't still not in favor of that at this time.
Okay. For the record.
Did you make the corrections and then have a later date?
I trust staff to just recall that when you're decking them out, let's make the decision. I'm going to get in the truck.
You're going to try it out?
I'm going to try it out first.
Okay.
If I can get in it, you don't need it.
Any other comments? Any other comments? If so, is there a motion? Motion made by Mr. Herb Houston. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by D. Wells. Are all those in favor? There are? Any opposed?
For the record, I abstained because I left halfway through the meeting.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. For the record, Mr. R. Wells abstains. Item number 5, General Manager's Report, Texas Water 2018.
Yes, I wanted to remind the board that Texas Water 2018 released information. I don't have all the documentation, but I just wanted to bring it up. And if you guys decide to attend the meeting, we can set you up. And I will provide the information, and then you get it, the whole complete information, and how we made it to you guys.
Okay.
And if you're interested in going to that one, just let me know.
Okay.
And look at it. It's just a reminder for you that, April the 23rd to the 26th, and it's in San Antonio as well. I'll send you the information as soon as I get it, and
Thank you. Anything else, Carlos?
no, that's it.
Moving on to item number 6, District Engineers Report. Charles?
The first item is just to give you a status of the plans and specifications for the Port Isabel monofilament methane monitoring. And this change order was presented at the January meeting, and then the plan was to, kind of piecemeal what they gave us to, and a change order said put it out for bid. And having discussions with Corolla, we still need to have the electrical instrumentation set, fine field, which we don't have that bid set available. And as far as putting it together in-house, I just haven't made any progress on it. And so that's kind of where we're at. And there's some supplements in here as far as, you know, I asked for the effort from Carollo for what it would take to get that bid package put together. And I wouldn't recommend, you know, proceeding on that route just because of the cost, just for the purpose of the rebid and trying to save, you know, and
That's agenda, sorry to interrupt you, isn't that agenda item number 16 we're going to be discussing later?
well, the 16 is just the construction management portion of it.
It's the change order discussed, and that's what's discussed in this email that we're reading in our report.
The email is the additional design phase services to change from a change order to a bidding document. That's really what that discussion is about, like, which is basically.
And we're going to be discussing in item 16.
No, it's slightly different. I mean, basically, what I gave in the engineering report is you know, $23,000 in effort that I'm not requesting for approval or recommending. It's just, I don't think that's an option we should proceed with. And, you know, but then at the same time, we're at a point to where we need to have signed and sealed set by an electrical engineer, which we have in the form of a change order, but not in the form of a bid package.
So the change order we're going to discuss doesn't address any of that.
Well, it's kind of different dollar amounts that are on different items. That's why it's broken out
I'm
into
sorry, I'm getting to the part where we're discussing in your engineer's report items that we're going to be discussing, or should be discussing in another action item.
It's different components. Right now, I'm talking about engineering services for rebid and preparing that plan for.
Okay, one comment on this I could take, I'm looking at the email exchange between Mr. Allen and yourself, and in the email exchange, he said, good luck with the board. Please report you did not have good luck with the board, from where I stand.
Could you repeat the question? I'm not sure.
No question, just a statement.
Okay.
In his, Mr. Allen's email, third line, in the middle, good luck with the board.
Didn't this deal start at about $100,000 and now they're saying 150 to 200, or am I just?
Yeah, well, yes, with the estimate started at $100,000 and now it's at 147 is the best we could negotiate.
Well, it says here 200 now.
No, not for the change order item. Oh, well, that's, if we do the rebid, the engineering fees would bump it up to 200, but we're not doing it.
We dealt with this before, you said that you were going to take and start, Marfield, you were going to do the engineering on it.
Right.
And we didn't have to get an electrician from up north, and we can do that locally.
And so I'm at a point to where, you know, I'm either going to obligate myself to still engineer or electrical and instrumentation plans, which I shouldn't be doing, or kind of stand firm with using a set of plans that are put together by electrical engineers that have been signed and sealed. And so we're sort of, you know, running into catch-22 to try to put this out for a rebid versus the change order. But that's kind of where things are standing today with the status of the plan. I mean, it's one of these things to where.
Status of the plans that you need to take and address all these in the emails, and then you need to hire somebody to go out and put it together in bid form?
Well, I mean, that's the correct procedure. I mean, at this point, I have it in pieces where they've done the plans and specs by change order. There's references to the original plan set, and then we need to figure out how to get that form of where things are at.
Based on the fact that I'm not following this and you don't have it all together, can we skip over this part of your report and bring it back to us more cohesively at a later time?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and the other part, I guess we can jump over to residuals management at Waterfront 2. This is really just kind of a new project name for the sludge drying beds at the water plant. We know we have that sludge lagoon over at the water plant that's full. We have to, you know, find a way to dredge out the solids or come up with an alternative plan to keep being able to handle our solids at water plant 2. And really, this memo is really kind of in response to the preliminary engineering effort that Barb reported, as far as the preliminary report being significantly different from this early phase of the design effort. And I don't know, maybe I can pass it to Richard to give more information on the status there. Absolutely. We can kind of take it from there.
We've got a presentation here, quick one, I won't take too much of your time, but good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Richard Correa with Garver for the record.
Wait, before we go there,
Yes, sir.
We have an engineer's report, now we're having a presentation.
Well, this
On
is
the
related.
agenda item, we should have an agenda item, if we're gonna have a presentation, we should have an agenda item to that.
Okay, I mean,
If we're gonna schedule time here. You put it in there as your report. I'm really sorry, I don't wanna be wasting your time. But procedure, if we're gonna take and give consideration, including the public, they should have knowledge that we're gonna have a presentation related to ABC.
okay, so
Do you have a legal opinion?
There is no hard and fast magic language you need to include in a posting, right? It just has to have, the reasonable person would have noticed that that is going to be discussed. It's a matter of preference. I completely understand what you're saying. The way it is drafted and posted, it is as if only the engineer will be speaking to the board regarding their report. And then it becomes kind of a subjective question, is this clear enough to provide notice to the public that this gentleman will be speaking on behalf of this item? So, there is no hard and fast rule, it's a matter of preference. You can be in compliance with the Open Meetings Act by proceeding right now, but in the future, require that if there is a presentation other than the manager speaking or the engineer speaking, that it be fully stated.
Clarify.
Out of respect to this, I listened to something very short.
Okay.
But I really want to come back with the full information that we fully discuss.
Understood.
At the appropriate time.
Yes, sir.
That's my opinion, gentlemen.
I agree.
Well, I'll go through this very briefly. Thank you all again. With me today is Tony from Maripa, EIT in the Harlingen office. In short, what I wanted to go over was the outline and the background of the project, current conditions, previous engineering report, existing contract, and then potential solutions. And then go over some options. Current operations, obviously everybody's aware of this. The lagoon does not currently operate as required. Decamp, pump clogging, everybody knows these. I don't think I need to go over these. Previous 2016 engineering report, which was performed in a solids management sort of study, suggested 2 sludge drying beds, concrete lined sludge drying beds of this size, which is what we based our contract on. A very simple design that would mirror what you all currently have at water treatment plant number 1. Again, we were hired for basic design services that include preliminary design, bidding and construction, and special services for topographic survey. What we have found is that the preliminary design efforts reveal some discrepancies with the original report. And in our preliminary design efforts, when gathering actual 2017 plant data, there were indications that the proposed sludge drying beds would be ineffective at accomplishing your dewatering goals at this facility. In addition to that, the previous report indicated that the growth rate was considerably lower than what your plant production data suggests. And so before going down a rabbit hole we shouldn't be going down, we wanted to just present this to y'all and let y'all know that we were headed towards an ineffective design. We went ahead and prepared a couple options. And again, these aren't every option available. There are several more options, but for the sake of a concise presentation and decision for Texas Water Development Board of funding, we prepared a couple options. Option 1 is your sludge drying beds per that initial report. Items of note is the peak loads from June to September would pretty much equate to 150% of the maximum recommended solids loading rate for beds of that size. So if we just took into account annual average loading, the solids loading rate would be exceeded in 6 months. And this is in accordance with your actual plant data. What we found, even though it wasn't explicitly defined in the report, what we deduced rather is that a scaling took place in terms of your water treatment plant 1 solids production data scaled over to water treatment plant number 2. Well, that doesn't necessarily, that's an apples and oranges comparison because water plant number 1 does not run at full capacity. and it doesn't run the entire year. So that was the main discrepancy that we found. That includes a backwash pump station and includes more developed design and construction elements and the new opinion of probable construction costs, obviously with some contingencies in there because this is not a detailed design estimate, and some escalation for future construction is now at $7 million.
So you're saying 2 beds, concrete line beds, 20,000 square feet, $7 million.
Including a pump station, including the foundation, including dewatering, additional piping, the under drains that weren't in the original report, the media that wasn't in the original report, upgrades to your backwash pump station that wasn't in the original report, and then of course the pump station for the decant flow. And again, this is obviously a high number, but it's sort of an upper limit on what you should expect to spend. Getting in a detailed design, having a geotech, actually going through the structural and everything else, that number would be expected to come down.
I think it'd be cheaper to get a pool guy to come in.
That's a super high-end number.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I see 5 options there. You said a couple, we got 5 options?
Yes, sir. That was just one. What options remain? And again, these aren't everything that could possibly be done, but sludge drying beds per your actual plant production data, bell filter press, or mechanical dewatering, existing lagoon use, or a new lagoon, or some combination thereof, several of them. Option 2, sludge drying beds per your water treatment plant 2 data. That would include 4 16,000-foot active drying area beds. Again, the pump station and force main, backwash pump station upgrades and force mains to the beds. That's sized for solids loading only. What we found is that if we were to size this for solids loading and hydraulic loading, the beds grew to a size that exceeded the available land. Option 1 versus option 2, you can see a simple graphic there showing, I don't know if you can see the green boxes, but those are the originally sized beds, and then in red is the new beds. Option 3 is some sludge drying beds with automated lagoon dredging, 4 10,500 square foot drying beds, and we would leverage the use of your existing lagoon to attenuate peaks, and that would include a flump or a floating pump dredge type piece of equipment that would convey flow as needed to the sludge drying beds for drying, and decant pump stations, one-time cleaning. Option 4, bell filter press, different type of technology, but again, mechanical dewatering, with backwash pump station upgrades, utilizing existing lagoon, and then dredging to the bell filter press for drying. And option 5 is a new lagoon, basically a duplicate of what you've got now, leveraging the existing lagoon, one-time clean-out cost. Our cost includes a fabric form concrete liner and then an HDPE liner at the bottom.
I'd really like to bring this back with full attention.
Yeah, takes a little more. We're getting into. Keep going. I don't know if we keep going.
Before we go much further, when we come back with this, I'd like to know who designed this, who we paid to design this is not working now, from what you told us in the beginning.
Well, again, they didn't design anything. I think it was a study, and it was a 30,000-foot view, and it was an estimate. It didn't include preliminary design. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the study was related more to sludge hauling and saving of using the monofill versus hauling in LaGuardia.
Correct.
And since we never had tickets at Water Plant 2, we don't really have data out there. And all they did was basically take Water Plant 1 numbers and go from the 5 MG to 8 MG, which now that we're diving into the details, that's not even close.
Right.
So that's all is loading.
Mr. Chairman, I think
Yes.
we're going way too far
Deep,
into this.
too deep. What do you want to do?
Pass.
I don't, with no disrespect to you, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, it needs to be a separate item.
Sure. Understood.
If you can bring us the guide to model, bring us the Bobcat model, or the board members discuss and everything in between to where we can have something, and some things we discussed earlier, possibly that we can consider and have, you know, the direct engineering for this, other than the 30,000 foot.
Sure. Understood.
Apologize.
Not a problem. Thank you, gentlemen.
Charles, do you have anything else to add in this report?
No, that wraps it up. I
Let's
mean,
move-
there'll be discussion, we'll have it.
Let's move on to item number 7, Director of the Operations Report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what I'm presenting here is the service orders, the call-outs for the month of January. There were 304 service orders or call-outs, and they're broken down into customer service, irrigation, distribution, water loss, follow-up, and call-out. And then it's broken down into even further detail on the bottom of that. And just for definition, service orders, on the informational category are calls when customers have a complaint on meters, high water bills, or contract works, or angle valves, or anything like that. They call the customer service desk. And then, of course, water loss is caused by distant meters and water that's used by the district chiller and vac truck, along with cleaning out fire hydrants. And then the other part of the report includes the collection, and the collection area is broken down into 3 areas, which is collection, customer service, and maintenance. And then that is broken down into a little bit more detailed, and you have a number of call-outs by the definitions there, and they have a total of 54 call-outs for the month. I don't know if anybody has any questions on this report.
One question,
Yes, sir.
on the bottom of the first page, you put down there, on the double star water loss is caused mostly in testing meters, cleaning fire hydrants, district trucks, jetters, VACCON, some usage by city.
Yes.
Please tell me what that is, usage by
Well,
city.
this again refers to what I mentioned at the last meeting. I think when they have a function like the shrimp cookout, they use the water, we let them use the water. Well, you know.
From what source?
Usually what they'll do is, when they put up the tent, they need those barrels to sometimes help tie them down, or the little wash station that they have with the shrimp fest and stuff like that. Sometimes the city will go out there on Thursdays and check the hydrants as well, and they'll open up the hydrants, make sure the volume and whatnot there for them to the hydrant that's needed.
So it's minimal use.
Minimal.
And the only thing I'll add, I know years ago that there was an issue whenever I was hauling water, and, you know, I had well, we won't go into that. But my concern would be that the district does not have any liability exposure whenever we're providing water and it's put into other containers for somebody else to use and dispense, that we're not getting ourselves in any
No, we'll meter the water usage.
For drinking water.
drinking water, or even in contact with the public. I'm hypersensitive to liability.
No, my understanding is we provide a meter so we know exactly how much water to grab.
All I'm saying is, if, you know, in the future, anything like that, and if it's water that we're providing comes in contact with the public, I'd like to make sure that it's coming directly from our spigot to them. If there's something else provided, from a liability standpoint, please exercise due caution.
Noted. Yes. The other part of my report was just well, not a presentation, just a notice that I sent out to you gentlemen concerning a conference coming up by PML on elected officials conference, and just wanted to let you know that this conference is in early March, and if anybody's interested in attending, we could help you out. Mr. Friedman has already registered for this conference. We were just wondering if anybody else was going to go.
spring break, I'm not gonna be on.
Anything else, Robert?
No, sir, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving to item number 8, discussion and possible action to approve the highest bids received on the following properties struck off to Cameron County for itself or other taxing jurisdictions from a tax resale conducted on November 7, 2017. Legal description, SPI Golf Community Parcel 10-B, Lot 40, Cab 1, Slot 2368-A, CCMR, account number 72-4613-0000-0400-00. Hello.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Erica Lerma. I'm attorney at Linebarger. So we're asking for approval of the bid we received. It was for $16,000, which would, LagunaMadreWaterDistrict was owed $423.06, and if this bid is approved, you guys will actually be receiving $590.72, so you'll be receiving more than what was owed on the judgment.
How do they come up with more money to be paid? How does that work?
It's a resale, so the first time it's sold, if nobody bids on it, or the bid doesn't meet the judgment amount, the property gets transferred to the governmental entities, and it's not owed by the taxpayer anymore. So the governmental entities own the sheriff's deed, and so when you sell it, you no longer have to give any money back to the original taxpayer. You can keep the money. Whereas if it was sold in the first sale, any excess proceeds would be available to the taxpayer.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by R. Wells. Seconded by D. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9, discussion and
You're a
possible...
good salesman.
Discussion and possible action on the resolution approving the highest bids received on the property tax resale conducted on November 7, 2017. Legal description, SPI Golf Community Parcels 10-B, Lot 40, Cab 1, Slot 2368-A, Cameron County, account number 72-4613-0000-0400-00.
Yeah, motion to approve.
Motion made by R. Wells.
Second.
Seconded by D. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. $590 to the district. Moving to item number 10, consider and discuss the job description for the purchasing agent position.
Yeah, this one, we requested to be, discussed. And, any comments, questions, if you all, have them on the job description?
I have quite a bit, and that's my dilemma, is in that discussion, is in the interest of time, you know.
Yes.
Y'all killed the tree with this package, and I'd like to move through.
We'll go back and, call you in for a new discussion, next week possibly,
Yeah,
and, have, hopefully you guys, provide.
discuss it,
Yeah, thank you.
I move the table.
Motion to table.
You went through, Alan?
Yes,
You already,
yes.
your input's already here?
This is something we definitely need.
No,
I guess before we make a second on that, what exactly are your major concerns, Doyle?
I don't like a lot of it.
What exactly are the major concerns?
I want to get into it next week, because I don't like the way it's said in here, how it's just, the preliminary stuff of purchase agent implements and enforces the LagunaMadreWaterDistrict purchasing procurement policy and procedures manual. That's crazy. Why is the purchasing agent going to do his own policy manual? I know that, but it says that in the first page, first paragraph. And then we're getting in there to have the ability, knowledge, and skills. You have 4 items in there that are very rudimentary of what they're supposed to know as far as government entities, but nothing in there talking about number 5 I wrote, ability to see procurement and lowest cost of goods and services nationally. Procurement of online searching, online and search procurement. It's too narrow as far as what we expect, or I expect the purchasing agency to do, to find the lowest price for whatever we need worldwide.
Well, I think you've made that very clear, so,
But it's not happening. That's why I wanted to revisit what we're doing. If we're putting in a policy, I want it to state such.
okay. Anything else?
When was this, purchasing procurement policy and procedures manual and petty cash, when was it created and adopted? That's in our packet here. Is this new that we're discussing now, or is this something that it's in place? That answers my question there, thank you. I need to have I'm not prepared to act on this tonight.
I need some input because, obviously it's something that we're working towards, and I'll be glad to sit with you and we can go over and make sure that we're on board to do some of these things because...
I've been available the whole time that you were putting input into it.
No, I mean,
I could have sat down with y'all at any time.
we haven't had any meetings over it, if that's what you're insinuating.
Well,
That's not the case. What I'm
You
saying
decided
is,
to present it tonight, you want to do it because you've been putting time into it. I applaud that, don't want to discourage you. But
what I'm trying to...
it's not meeting my
what-
expectations.
Well, and that's what I need to know.
Then I don't want to do it tonight, I'd like to do it in a different setting at a different time.
Let's set up a date. Let's do it.
Let's table this and then
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Because we can't just leave it hanging. We need to make sure we're gonna get together and go over
Table
these
it
things.
tonight, it'll be on the next meeting's agenda
And
automatically.
we'll discuss it
Okay.
prior.
It comes up automatically with the table.
I'll second that.
Motion to table by D-Well, seconded by Mr. Avalos.
28.
Remember, the next meeting is next
Wednesday.
Next
Yep.
Wednesday.
We need to have information tomorrow or the next day available.
I think we got a good start for me to gather up my information, and to answer your question, I think I can do it probably this Friday or...
Friday,
Has to be by Thursday, by Friday.
yes,
Yeah.
Friday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Friday at 9 or 10.
Or tomorrow, I gotta, we do like a 1 o'clock tomorrow?
Yes, we can.
Your schedule.
Yes.
Motion
Alex,
made.
does that work for your schedule?
I'll put it in there.
Motion to table by D-Well, seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. For the record, Mr. R. Wells is out. Moving on to item number 11, consider and approve roof repair for Isla Blanca wastewater treatment facility.
Yes, we advertise for general contractor services for roof repair of the Isla Blanca wastewater treatment plant. The roof is leaking and is deteriorating the blower room equipment. The recommendation is going to award the contract to Equifed. We reviewed this with the manager of the wastewater treatment plant, and that's where.
Mr. D-Wells had a question. And a question by R. Wells.
Well, my question is, I'm looking at the picture and I'm not sure exactly what you're gonna fix. Because if they're gonna fix the tar and gravel, it's gotta be with a membrane or rolled roofing. Is that what they're doing? Because you can't put another tar and gravel roof.
Yeah, no, it's a different.
But it's the whole roof.
Yes.
And how big is the whole roof?
It's 24 by 16.
It's how big?
What's 5 by 15?
Well, the middle part's
That's
5 by
just the
15, but I'm
middle
talking
part.
about,
Yeah,
are
the
they fixing the whole thing? Because a couple of these prices almost seem too cheap, and then the other ones seem a lot less.
No, the roof is 24 by 60.
It's how big?
The roof, it's 24 by 60.
24 by 60.
Yes, and the shingles are only for these, for the first
Yeah, right, I
picture.
understand for a middle, but, and so what are they gonna put on, the membrane, or are they gonna put on, roll roofing?
No, it's a membrane.
It's
They're
what?
gonna remove this tar and
Yeah, I've seen
and
that.
rust, and there's some rolls.
They're gonna roll it?
Yes.
Put roll roofing in it, okay.
I've got a question on the wall that butts up to it, that's what, 4 or 5 feet tall, what, are they gonna do anything there to, because I think that's where water is seeping through when it's hitting that wall?
There should be something in there.
I think we talked about doing that because, something about rolling it over that edge, which is about 4 or 5 feet tall, I'm not exactly sure. Because we're gonna get water that's seeping through that wall where it butts up against the roof there.
Yes,
Seems like,
We are getting something there?
seems cheap.
Okay.
It just sounds cheap for all of that. I don't know.
With did the bid specs address any potential of any structural repair, the roof and underlayment? If we got water going through it, you got rotten wood up there, or rusted out. Mark? Concrete?
Yeah.
So it's concrete, so the leak is just going because
There's probably cracks in there.
so the roof, concrete cracked.
And then the tar
And look at
and the
this
rock
other
on
stuff
top
there.
is already
Where's that
deteriorated.
system?
I get that. So we have no structural compromise with a cracked roof? Who's made that decision?
This one has insurance to qualify for.
I mean, is it something we can repair? Can we repair that crack and? Yeah, I know, but can we repair that crack that's existing before they put the membrane and all that?
We need to, that's.
Right.
I believe that crack, once the tar is laid on top of it, it'll cover.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's probably,
There's no structural compromise with the crack you're telling us about now. I would appreciate individually if that was done by somebody that knows.
I think once they take it off, they're
Take it
gonna,
off.
Well, you can see it from underneath too, I'm assuming.
That's when they go up on the price.
well, you can see it from the, you can see it
It sounds a little
from,
more serious than.
And my question is, on these low builders, do they have the proper documentation, insurance, liability, workman's comp stuff that we require for these types of jobs?
it's a new company, it's not set up in the system.
Yes,
I haven't required the insurance or W-9 yet.
that's a big,
yeah, we're gonna need that.
that's a
Okay.
big one.
I will request that.
To relieve, they don't want the liability to fall back on the district for this, something happens.
So what was the big area, was it mentioned?
It's
4 by 60?
1,440 square feet on the big area.
So gentlemen, what's a good price?
For road roofing and removal
And hauling it off.
and hauling it off.
I think that's reasonable.
And then the other one that's real reasonable, it's almost too reasonable, that's what I'm saying.
So,
It's a screaming deal if it,
I heard something say we have a new company that's not even qualified with the.
I don't think he said that. I think you said that.
No, he
He was
said-
gonna, he didn't say that they weren't qualified. You
they can
said
do that for
They did.
$7,000, let them do it, but man, they better do it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put shingles on that gable roof, there's none that fits to do the roll roofing on the.
I believe the shingles is a smaller part of the building.
That's what he's saying.
Part of the roof.
I know what you're saying, but there's not enough
I don't think it needs
fit
it.
for shingles to do any good, to just
Yeah.
do roll roofing on the flat and the gable part.
You go under about a 312 or 412 pitch with shingles, it'll leak.
Yeah.
It'll back up where you need to, like Herb's saying, you need to put the roll roofing on
This
everything.
isn't
Yeah.
even a 112.
Huh?
This is not even a 112. Looking at the picture.
Not really.
We need a motion.
I make a motion, we go with a low bid.
What was that, the second low bid or the low bid, not the low bid?
Staff recommendation is the
That
second,
no fact, you don't want it.
because they'll haul off the shingle.
Well-
Why wouldn't Raul haul off the stuff? I don't understand that. That's
They probably will, they just wanna get paid extra
Well, I
for it.
mean,
But you only got $200 though, Alex, the difference, and it's gonna cost a lot more than that to haul all that off. You got $1,000 to haul that roof off. 'Cause you can't just dump it anywhere,
No.
'cause they're gonna pull the tar roof off too, there's a lot of hauling here, bud. And there's only $200 difference.
And then again, it has 2 other nodes, new shingles over.
Right.
5 by 12, there's no. And,
Yeah.
increase existing overflow.
Alex, would you amend your motion to?
I will amend my motion to go with Ecofact.
Thank you.
And I'll second it.
There's been a motion made by Mr. Avalos, and a
Second.
second made by R. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
my eye is with reservation because it's private.
Well, my eyes with reservation too, let's see what happens.
It's way out.
It's gonna cost him $1,000, $1,500 just to haul that off and find a place to dump it.
Motion been made. Is everyone in favor?
Aye.
Was there any opposed? None?
We voted already.
Motion carries, yes, but we didn't approve it.
I thought we did.
No.
All in favor, unanimous.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Moving to item number...
Lock your dumpster.
Item number 11, consider and approve the roof repair for East La Blanca wastewater treatment facility. That's the one we just did, yes, excuse me. Item 12, consider and approve the change of vendor for instrumentation. Bid contract awarded in September 2017.
What's up with this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's noted on the letter I submitted, we've been having some issues with Moody Brothers, who were originally awarded the contract. And because of those issues, we'd like to rescind that contract with them and go to
Sendero.
the other ones that were doing it in the past. And we've had pretty good service from them. So they were the only two that bid on that contract.
But was Moody's just the cheaper one? Is that the reason we went with them? I can't remember.
Right.
$10 per hour.
$15.
I have two comments.
Yes,
Two comments. I compliment Noe Cantu on a good report. They're presenting a clear picture to us on what we're dealing with. I support the change. I have serious questions about who approved payment to Moody Brothers in $2,565 on that invoice when we had all these problems with them. From what I read, they caused over $2,000 worth of damage to our equipment, countless hours of staff's time having to go in and fix what they messed up. I'm really disappointed in the lack of communication between invoice received and checking with the work actually done, or anything that could come back with repercussions like this. Cut a check to them in January. February 9th, it was paid. Yeah.
should have stopped.
In my business, I'd say, whoa, wait a minute, did this get done, is this accurate? When just a bill comes in, you pay it.
My thought at the time when I approved this, Mr. Wells, was just to move on with Moody Brothers, not have to do anything more with them.
I don't disagree with that, but I'd like to make that decision.
Motion to approve Sendero South.
Second.
Motion made by R. Wells, seconded by Mr. D. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 13, consider and discuss the hiring of an IT public relations person on a full-time basis.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what we're recommending is that we get out of the contract with G5 so that we can go ahead and just have a full-time IT person along with a public information officer that can relay the messages of the district to the public. And I propose here the salary with the benefits, that what it would cost the district and how it could be financed to hire this individual.
So it'll be costing us actually about 12, is that right? 12,000?
Yeah, and I assume that we could probably pay that with the contract, the new money coming in from Verizon.
I'm going to give you my spin on it. I think the IT guys and the public information officer are two totally separate entities and qualifications. That's my first input and spin on this. I don't think they're job titles. I mean, you may be lucky to get a person that is capable of that, but the job description should be separated and should be separated. That's just should be hired together. It's not the same person. That's like asking someone that has an A license and
It's
someone
like
to be
asking Boyle to be the
janitor. I mean, it kind of, or something, maybe it's a bad comparison, but something, two totally different job performance and duties. That's my first spin. Hiring this IT person, my other comment would be that, that job is always changing, and when you have it contracted out, you're always getting someone that's up to date with the technology and the information and what's going on. Having someone in-house 5 years, if they're on the job for 5 years duration, are they keeping up? Are we keeping them trained? Are they aware of what's going on and what's new in the market and software updates and all of those types of things?
It changes so fast.
It changes so fast that I believe the person representing that job could become stale and ineffective in time if they're not, up current and updated. That's just my two comments.
Well, he seems to be keeping up pretty well with what's going on in the industry as far as the technology is concerned.
He does as a contracted employee, but hiring someone like that on a full-time basis, I don't think you're going to get that updated. That's just my spin and observation.
We would have to definitely invest
We would
in
have
that.
to fund that and
Right.
push that.
Right.
So I guess
Yeah.
where I'm unclear with this agenda item is this an agenda item to discuss and consider changing the structure of the district to include an IT person, because we don't have one now in our.
Well, we kind of do.
We have a contract for
right.
it. We do not have the slot for it, which is being presented to us with all the bennies and all that. And then we're talking about increasing another public relations individual, and that's another conversation. I echo what the chairman just said on that. To me, we've got the cart before the horse. This was brought to us to hire an IT guy, and then I see it kind of presented that who y'all want to hire, but that's not the way I want to do it. If we're going to consider hiring, I want to advertise for it. I do have a concern with the report provided to me, and I'm not picking on you, Mr. Gomez, but I'm bringing out in the one sentence at the top of the report, after paragraph one sentence. He is out every Friday afternoon, payday, so he can get to the office in Westrico before they close. I called Richard with G5 and said, Richard, how come you guys are leaving early? He said, that's news to me. I don't see him in my office at 3 o'clock. So I understand maybe putting that in there it does two things. One, it says that he's not where he should be, either place.
His contract, I think, is 30 hours, isn't it? What is it?
It's 5 days a week through
It's supposed to
full
be
hours.
5 days a week.
Full days. And I'm not, let me make this clear, I'm not besmirching anybody, and not him nor you, but to take and try to sway us into thinking that we're gaining something by having a full-time person in-house by something that's not happening, I don't appreciate. I do think that the IT gentleman is doing his job, and I'd like to keep him doing that. If we're going to have another discussion later, I'd like to have about public information person, rather we create that position, but my feeling at this point, it really should come from the general manager or the director of operations or somebody in that area that's addressing it at the time. The last thing I need, our IT guy that's trying to take and keep a hacker from Russia out of our system, as an example, having to go on the phone and talk to somebody about public information.
I do have a couple of comments. First of all, this requires some long-term thinking. We're looking at investing in lots of IT infrastructure in the future. And we need somebody that can handle that. And I believe that this gentleman, I've talked to him briefly, he's doing a little bit of, from what I understand, from what he communicated to me, he does a little bit of this public relations stuff already. So, for the company he's working for, I'm not sure what their name is. G5. That's what I gathered from him. And we do need a front person other than ourselves to put a face on the district that understands, number one, a little bit of public relations, which I'm thinking he does, and we can certainly interview him and look at it and from that perspective. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do.
Create one job.
But I do agree with your.
One person.
I do agree with your statement in that we're either going to hire one or the other. But we definitely need somebody that can not only take on the IT issues in the future, because we're going to have them and we're going to be buying into that, but we also need somebody that's out there as a voice for our organization. Somebody that can talk to the public, that knows not only how to get on TV and do all. We need how should I say it, a young face out there to do that. So that's the point of looking at having a public information officer, who this guy happens to have knowledge about IT.
No
Yeah.
disrespect to him. I just don't want to create a job or combine jobs
Right,
based on
and I
one
totally agree with that.
individual.
I totally agree with
And
that.
that was my only comment. And-
Yeah.
I feel compelled to go ahead and recite the rest of the conversation I had with Mr. Galvan, the owner of G5 today, who's fully aware of what the conversation is. And he told me that he and this individual that we're, our IT guys, had conversations about public relations, and there's hesitancies on his part of doing it at this point.
Okay.
And even to the point that he thought that was going to be part of the job description that he would have to decline.
Okay.
The
Then
offer.
I wasn't aware of that, so.
Well, this is what I was informed of today. Richard
Okay.
did tell me he's very satisfied to continue with the current contract we have. He's very willing to work with us to create a broader IT job description to better fill in everything that you were saying. And
We're gonna need it.
Rick was saying that we need to keep up with technology and help us transition into the correct IT guy. In the interim, I would really like our general manager and director of operations and finance director, when we get one, whomever is relevant at that time, to speak with existing knowledge of what needs to be addressed without having to learn everything from a public relations position, for a public relations
Right.
position.
Mr. Wells, I would like to make a comment. I did not put this sentence in there to deceive you or mislead you in any way. This is something that he has told me on many occasions, reminding me that he has to leave on Friday afternoons on payday so he can get to the office before they close.
Thank you for
And
clarifying
there
that.
have been numerous times when he doesn't show up till 11, 12 o'clock, and I'll question him about it. And he said, well, Richard called a meeting. I said, was this a scheduled meeting or what? He said, no, he just called a meeting this morning. And the other times that he has left early because Richard calls meetings.
And that's why I look to staff, you sir, to go ahead and ensure that G5 is in compliance with their contract with us first.
Well, see, at one point, he had even told me that Richard was setting up to where every Friday he was going to have him go to the office over there. And I talked to Mr. Galvan, and I got the IT person involved, and we questioned him. I said, look, you know what? We need to call Richard. If he's going to do that, then we need to rescind that contract and cut down the amount that we're paying him. Instead of paying him for 5 days, we need to pay him for 4 days.
Correct, because there are some perks on the G5 side that it really helps to have a knowledgeable person in the area on our staff, that if G5 needs something to maintain their equipment, that we're letting them hang on our towers and provide a service with, that he's readily available, so it's a win-win situation. So I really appreciate that you're watching and keeping on top of it, that, you know, they're not shorting us on any time.
Unfortunately, there are times that he does that, and by the time we find out, it's just...
And I understand, and I'm sorry, and I understand there's other times I see him in here, he's wherever he puts in extra time.
Yes.
So I take that into consideration, as long as Mr. Galvan and Mr. Gomez, y'all are satisfied with his time put in service, I appreciate that.
Yes, I did want to mention that he does work sometimes on weekends, like to get some stuff straightened out for the district.
board meetings late and elections, et cetera,
And then,
presentations.
when he leaves, he lets us know, he's got to go to the office, and he'll be on the phone, he'll be there. So, to be covered, for, if we have a problem or an issue, so he can do it from there, and take care of the problem. So he does advise us when he leaves, and, where he's at, and he's available, and also, like I said, he works overtime, like after hours.
I'm satisfied with the answers I've heard here, and I've expressed my concern. My question is, do we want to table this, or just
Do we bring it
take
back to
no
the,
action?
This is discuss only, this is discuss only.
do we bring it back as an IT position only then, or?
Let me throw my 2 bits in, and I think Scott made some good points. I hadn't thought about it, that the IT person really needs to be dedicated on there all the time. Alex made some good points, and especially with the idea that we may be going into this computerized metering services to our customers and the dependence, you know.
On cloud services, that's what we're gonna be
No
doing.
doubt.
It's gonna be a tremendous, I mean, you're gonna have to have a good IT guy, and I could see him being in charge of that whole damn department. So I would really like to see us proceed in regard to the IT person. As far as the information officer, I think that's.
And that might be something that we do in the future from within, because there's people that are very knowledgeable here on our staff that can do that, if they're willing to step up to that, because that does require a certain type of skill and personality.
And training.
Yeah, a lot of
What
training.
to say and
She
discuss.
does it all the time, every
Yeah.
day. She steps up, she gives them the answers they need. If we get in the new, when we get in a new system, people say, I can't get the right app. Well, then you'll help it, or the IT guy can help it.
Is this an action item or a
No,
discussion?
it's discussion item.
We need it up, thank you.
Let's move on.
Thank you. Any other comments or suggestions? We're moving on. 14, consider and approve the purchase of the mini excavator.
Yes, sir. What we did is we got a hold of a couple of vendors that are with the buy board, and rather than bidding it out after we had received the quote on the repair of the current mini excavator we have, we got a hold of a couple of vendors, one from John Deere, the other one from Caterpillar Hose, and we talked to them, and they do have this item on the agenda. They did bring down the sales price from what is in the buy board, and so we're looking at, we would like to recommend the board to see if you would consider buying a mini excavator. As I submitted a picture of where it could be used. There's been several jobs like that where they need the mini excavator, and this is used by the department. Collections department. And I thought that John Deere had given us a pretty good deal. They're willing to finance it. We need to submit an application for it. I was incorrect on the original percentage interest, percent that he talked to me about. He came back later and told me that for 6 months that we would finance it, it would be around 2.9. But he did also qualify by saying that he wasn't exactly sure until we submitted the application and it was reviewed as to what kind of interest we would be able to get.
Do we have money in the budget we can move around? I'm personally, it is a good rate to finance it, but I'm personally not crazy about financing. We don't really finance other equipment like that.
Well,
Do you
currently,
mind?
the expense would come out of 2 departments. And to answer your question, we have looked at the budget, but I'm not currently sure we could come up with the total amount. However, one of the bargaining issues that I want to do with this individual is, since we're giving down the trade-in at $7,500, then we could have a payment due in a year, which would give us ample time to submit it into the next year's budget.
What about the option of 0% finance?
That was like for 24 to 36 months.
If you're gonna pay it off in a year anyways, what's the difference? We're just doing a little bridge loan, we call them.
Okay.
But I really don't want to do a long-term financing if that's what the board decides, or financing any equipment or having an outstanding debt on something. I mean,
I think the warranty is only good for the 2 years, so.
Warranty's
Well,
good for
they-
5,000 miles.
Yeah, for the term of the financing. That's why you gave.
Oh,
us
I
a
see what you're
5-year
saying. Oh,
warranty on it.
that's a game changer, but still.
How many excavators do we have, 1 or 2?
Yeah,
One right now, one.
One that's operating, and then we have the
Oh, so you
excavator.
got
The
one.
other excavator is too big for most of the jobs that they do.
But you got a backhoe.
So they use
But
it to
this,
wind up during.
a small backhoe.
Lawns
Yeah,
and,
backhoe.
doing more, harm than good in
Oh,
using it.
okay.
I know, at one point, I think I talked to Joel about, one of those hammer things. Remember? Will this replace that?
No, that's a different component that will be needed.
It won't accomplish the same thing?
Doyle?
Thank you. I looked at Holt's estimate for repair, and first thing jumped out at me that this unit, by their report, says it's only got 1,512 hours. In equipment hours, that's like brand new still. If it had 15,000, that would be a different animal. I understand over time in our environment that you do pick up corrosion and rust. I did look at the unit today. I'm not questioning staff, but I did ask Well and Mark, I said, what is the problem with it now? So, correct if I'm wrong, but right now that, you have trouble with the tracks. It's mainly in the undercarriage, the cover plates, to where you're not able to get in there and to adjust the idler to keep the tension right on the track itself. It could function today.
You being taking a risk on where the rough track sits, on that metal frame, the metal frame on both sides is cracked. That's why we wanted that plate to try and support it. But it's so thin that it was real hard to roll that.
But that's just a cover plate. That's not part of the undercarriage or your track system.
No, I think.
Because your idlers are good, your sprockets are good, everything there. It looks rusty, and then the covers are really rusted out. And I saw where y'all welded it in there. And then you're telling me that you had an issue with compression on the engine, which I understand, that's another overhaul. I'm going to get briefly into the Holtz estimate here, and I'll laugh, because they just put in repair machine notes. Remove and inspect seal and cylinders. Repair bucket connection points. Replace engine line, 2 engine lines of water pump. And then you get in here, and the bottom line is, it doesn't, they just remove and inspect the undercarriage frame and sprockets. They're not doing anything that you talked about, replacing any of that rust-eaten out material. I spoke with you earlier, and I asked you why you're not looking at other brands besides Cat and John Deere, to where you're looking at Kubota, there's several different ones out there that make the same product. Our purchasing agent, I'd like for them to see what's available for this type machine to give us some things to go by. You told me, and I understand, that you were going primarily with John Deere or Cat because of the local service for that. But if we have a new machine that's only good for 2 years, the warranty, that really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. My experience, if it's painted green or painted yellow, it's twice as much money. And that means it's either John Deere or Cat. So before we jump in here and spend all this money, I would like to have the information available. What other units are available at what price? And please, at that time, give me your feedback on what you feel would be a right service for those units after we bought it. But I would like to see more vendors' proposals submitted to us.
I just don't want to be caught in a situation where, if for whatever reason we have to have a service, we have to take it to Corpus or San Antonio or wherever. But then you're going to be asking me, why are we going so far?
No. I'm not doing that. I'm asking you, when you have a conversation and you talk to those different guys down here, who services in my area? If I buy this unit, who's going to service me? Are you going to send road service down here to me? Find out for me, please, what their service policy is on warranty of their products, and then availability of parts for the unit later.
Yeah, I believe Bart might have that information as well from
We got the quotes last year. We'll follow up on that for sure.
Well, I'm asking you to look at all of them. And in my part of it, I'm seeing some really good, foreign-made units come out that are really doing a good job.
Kubota makes it great.
Yes.
Everything Kubota makes
Yes.
is first class.
Yes.
It's like the equivalent of car shopping.
Yes, yes, so, I'd like to table this for y'all, or not do anything on this until you get us more information on it. I agree that something needs to be done with that unit, real quick. I personally see the need of it because of the maneuverability and low impact, footprint for certain areas that you have to go into people's yards, et cetera. I totally see that. I see the savings of that machine over somebody with their PhD, iron handle, digging it out. And so, I support that, but please bring back more options for me.
Item 14, there was a motion to table.
Second?
Second, motion made by D. Wells to table. There was a second by Alex Avalos. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item number 15, consider and approve the proposal from Wilden Financial Services to develop a comprehensive water and wastewater rate plan.
This is just a follow-up from the Dan Jackson
Presentation we
Yes.
had last meeting,
Yes.
and the same thing, he's presented the 28,000 for his proposal, everything presented to us was there. You have an experience with him.
I have experience. Yes, I think he does a good job. I think he's very good personally. I'm a little bumpy about the 28, but it is a different company. It's a new company. He's merged. We've had so much work and he has so much file on it, so I think he could do a little patch us in, plug us in pricing, but that's not going to happen. So it will pay for itself in no time. It's money well spent. You're spending money to get more money back in return and evaluate your rates. You're taking out 5 board members from rate regulation and changes, and that kind of takes the heat off of the water district if you adjust the rates. So,
Are we asking for everything that we really need? Specifically, there are services that include the bullet list that we have there. Is staff comfortable with what was proposed? Are we getting everything in this study that we will need now? And
My experience with everything is in there, so why doing this?
Staff has developed that study in regards to George Charles.
yes.
But I wanted it, how I wanted it, we haven't gotten it back yet.
Right.
Well, I figured that he was gonna do it for us.
Well, as long as it's in there, because that's what I want to see.
You want services to be services and policy, pricing to be adjusted and evaluated. Equability.
Yeah, I think we did mention it to him.
Well, I know, but
Yeah.
I'd like to make, I don't see it in here. I move we approve.
Second?
Motion made by Mr. Houston, seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor? Any opposed? For the motion, Mr. R. Wells is opposed.
I don't have a
Thank you.
problem doing the rates, and 28 grand is a lot of money to tell me what the rates are.
Moving on to item 16, consider and approve a change order number 2 with CSA Construction, Inc. for Port Isabel wastewater treatment facility modifications.
Yeah, and this is basically the change order option to get the methane monitors in place to resolve our violation of the sewer plant through the change order. And the reason why it's coming back is because the analysis for preparing the rebid, after all the rebidding efforts, we're really not gaining any value by going through that effort. And then there's also the issue of the electrical set being signed by an electrical engineer, which, of course, I'll settle. So that's kind of the 2 parts of why
that was
it's back on the table.
that was the first part of your report earlier where Mr. Allen said he thinks that this will be the way to go. Move to deny.
Motion made by D. Wells for denial,
Second.
seconded by R. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those are in favor except for Mr. Avalos, who is opposed. Motion does carry. Thank you. Moving to item number 17, Consider and approve the construction phase for engineering services with Carrillo Engineers for Port Isabel wastewater treatment facility sludge disposal monofilm methane monitoring.
Yeah, on this one, it's, you know, we can recommend not to approve and then handle it in-house.
Would you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah, on this one, I'm recommending, I guess, to not approve this item and construction management be handled in-house. As far as
Move to deny.
A motion made for denial by R. Wells, seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor?
That's not you.
I said D. Wells, excuse, did I say D. Wells? D. Wells, seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those opposed?
Yeah.
All opposed?
I made the second.
Is there a second? Okay. Okay. Is there a second for approval? None. Motion carries for denial. Moving to item number 18, consider and approve submission of Texas Wastewater Development Board's project information form for fiscal 2018 Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
That's all correct?
yeah, this is our lift stations and the special routines.
All correct?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Motion made by D. Wells for approval,
Second.
seconded by R. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
There are none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. 19, consider and approve the submission of the Texas Water Development Board's project information form for fiscal year 2018 Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Yeah, that's what I recommend.
All correct.
Well, this one's different because that's the sludge drying basin, the water plant too, there was that major cost change. And so I'd recommend not proceed with this until we
So
resolve.
just table this for now?
I think it's better just to not approve it.
Motion to
Not
deny.
approve, you'll bring it back later?
Right, correct.
Moving on to number 19, consider and approve, what's that?
Yeah, so that's what we're not gonna approve it.
Right.
The motion that effect.
I thought we were just gonna move on with it, not table it. That's what I heard him say.
I think he said to deny it.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Table?
Not table. Charles.
No, I'm not recommending it.
Charles, you recommended to deny.
Correct.
Motion made by D. Wells for denial,
Yes.
Second.
seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor of a denial? They are. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 20, I misunderstood. Item 20, consider and approve the change order number 1 with G&T Paving for Padre Boulevard Gravity Sewer Crossing at the La Quinta.
On this one, you may want to hold until closed session, or do you choose to take action on it?
I would like to make comments related to this, because the board's knowledge, I was involved with some emails early on when Charles was bringing this to Carlos and Mr. Gomez about needing to try to move forward. And I questioned real hard that to make sure that any of the change order that was necessary to accommodate the realignment of the force main, that those expenses, let me back up, if you don't know, the sewer line that we approved to gravity flow line to go across Padre Boulevard ran into the water main. So it required realignment of that, to do that realignment so that, we could do it. So
You mean under or over it or someplace else?
over it, just over it, just 245s in a straight.
Okay.
And so staff had the parts in hand, my understanding, and staff, and material. I was pretty vocal, as you know I am, that we don't spend anything in the hole that was, or work that was already approved in the sewer line contract that would be related to do the realignment of the forced water main water line. And I spoke to Charles, Carlos, everybody, and I'm satisfied that it was done that way. So this change order gets us across the road, the water line realigned.
The water line is the one we're going over, not the sewer, right?
Correct.
Sewer.
We had to take and...
Because the water line's got pressure in the sewer now,
They're
right?
going under, the sewer line is going under the water line.
Right.
So, yeah, right, okay.
So we had to do that to get it. So right now it ends, and it's a recommendation that on the cover letter here, it's essentially the change order takes out the manhole, the lift station that we were going to put on the other side. We took it, that took out, that offset the cost of the change order to a great deal. Took out the expense for the realignment of the water line. And right now, if I'm understanding correctly, it's across the road. and the sewer line is plugged on the other end, ready for the landowner to hook up to if they want,
Right,
with their own manhole in on their own side.
right.
But Charles, Brian, we're gonna be discussing easements in executive session, and if we were gonna continue with the original contract, and that's what we were questioning, was if we were gonna have original, the manhole was gonna be in the easement area, and so it got all convoluted. So as it stands right now, everything's running the way it should, water's flowing, and the sewer line is in place.
Right.
And so I see no conflict of approving the change order at this time. I personally am satisfied that the expenses were held in line.
Yeah, my only concern with it, or my main concern with it, is if we, for whatever reason, we get asked to put in a manhole later.
Then we have an easement to do it.
That's why
And
I
then
would rather,
it would
I would
cost
rather
us.
reserve the rest of my comments until we talk about the other issue that's on the table.
Then ask the chairman to take it out of order, and we can do that.
Well, if we can do that, I'd like to do that.
We can discuss it, we can approve it after executive session.
Yeah.
So,
I move we do that.
Let's move item 20 to after executive session, please. I think that's the best idea.
Thank you.
Moving to item number 21, consider and review expenditures for January 16th through the 31st, 2018. Everyone had a chance to review these. Anyone want to pull one out in particular? Otherwise, approval for all of them.
I see some page 3 of 9 at the bottom, I see a couple items there, express employment, professional employee, Elma Trevino, and then later, elsewhere I saw the same thing with another payment, so we're using this person as a temporary employee. Okay, so I don't guess it's appropriate to ask where we were using them.
He's an accountant. We no longer have we had a contract with the employment agency. We no longer have the contract.
That's
as a matter of
temporary.
fact, she is now a full-time employee.
Thank you. And so the other questions I have are, I see us buying tools from Northern Tool, a bunch of tools from Northern Tool on page 4 of 9. Again, are we, with our purchasing agent, looking for our best?
Yes,
Northern Tool is the best?
yes.
I find that hard to believe, that they
No, yes.
have a lot of junk. And then, third item up from the bottom, O'Reilly Auto Express, running boards for Unit 5, $570.
I know, that was done after we discussed that. When they entered this into the Encode, the item was already been purchased, so it's nothing much I can.
Thank you. So if I'm understanding correctly, it was purchased before you came and was doing that. They gotta be gold to be $570. Because y'all quoted us, just some pipe running boards like $125 or something like that, or a lot less, when we were talking about
Yes,
that.
that's correct.
That's the extent of my question. Thank you.
Any other questions on the bills?
Motion
Expenditures?
approved.
Motion approved for R. Wells.
Second.
Seconded by D. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item 22, executive session permitted by the Open Meetings Act, VTCA Government Code Section 551-001, ed sequence under Section 551-071, consultation with attorney, Section 551-072, deliberation about real property, Section 551-074A, 1, authorizing certain deliberations about officers and/or employees of the district to be held in executive session. Item A, discussion on legal matters or about real property concerning the following parcels of property in Cameron County for the Padre Boulevard Gravity Sewer Crossing at La Quinta. 1 10-foot wide right-of-way easement out of Lot 2, Contran Subdivision, City of South Padre Island. Item 2, 10 feet wide right-of-way easement out of East Track 17, East Track 1617, Padre Beach Estate Subdivision, South Padre Island. Item 3, 10 feet wide right-of-way easement of East Track 16, East Track 1617, Padre Boulevard Beach East Estate Subdivision, South Padre Island. And item B, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of district employees to wit, item 1, District of Finance, item 2, District of General Manager, item 3, District of Operations, item 4, District of Engineer. We'll be going into executive session with a 5-minute recess at 6:50 p.m. Motion to go into executive session. Motion made by D. Wells. Seconded by R. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. We're in executive session until 6:55 PM.
Christian died. Christian.
Motion to come out of executive session at 7:19 PM.
So move.
Motion made by R. Wells,
Second?
seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. We're out of executive session. Item A, discussion on legal matters on or about real property concerning the following parcels of property in Cameron County for the Padre Boulevard Gravity Sewer at crossing at La Quinta. Items 1, 2, and 3 have no action. Item B, to deliberate the appointment, employment evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of District 2 with employees. Items 1 through 4 also have no action. We need to revert back to item number 20. Consider and approve change order number 1 with G&T Paving for Padre Boulevard Gravity Sewer Crossing at La Quinta. A motion to come out of executive session? No, there was no action, so motion for,
This one, we not even make a motion to approve or disapprove.
The change order. Change order, go back to it.
I did.
That's it, right there, he mentioned it.
Consider and approve change order number 1, G&T Paving for Padre Boulevard Sewer Crossing at La Quinta. Motion for approval made by D. Wells.
Second.
Seconded for approval by R. Wells. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Meeting is adjourned at 7:20 PM. I want to thank everyone.